of all of America's much more consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just, you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom. No, she doesn't want to come over here to see what's up. She just wants to roam the house because she got to roam the house when I was gone. And she needs to literally have the same structured, regimented. I think this clip went to Trump's big baby desk immediately. I hate everything. I hate everything.
Twitch streamer Cenk's nephew is in a world of trouble, and the reason for it is because of that clip I showed you right there, which allegedly shows Cenk's nephew reaching off camera, which he did do in the clip, and shocking his dog, who yelps, due to the fact that his dog moved off the pre-positioned place that Cenk's nephew has for said dog. Now, of course, Cenk's nephew is in full denial of this, but in reality, in actuality, the overwhelming evidence shows us that Cenk's nephew does in fact implement a shock collar on his dog, and the reason he has decided to go in this direction, and by the way, based on the yelp of the dog, it appears that that shock collar is turned up all the way to the point where it's actually giving a significant amount of pain to that dog. But the reason he's doing this is because he views the dog, like everything else, including people in his life, as a prop. Remember, this is a guy who got his start in media from his uncle, Cenk Uygur. That's why he's called Cenk's nephew. And of course, as soon as he was able to make money on his own, as soon as he separated from the Young Turks, what's the first thing that he did? He backstabbed his own uncle because his uncle was no longer useful to him. Then he crawled right up Destiny's ass in order to glob on to his audience, get growth from him, but as soon as he didn't need Destiny anymore, all of a sudden, Steven is public enemy number one for Cenk's nephew. And this is an ongoing, repeated pattern that we've seen time and time again, so we can't be surprised that this socialist who supports violent terrorist organizations also views dogs as props in order to forward himself. Because in reality, you could see right there, that small little bed for his big designer dog is perfectly positioned for his dog to be on camera. And there are instances after instances of him raging out on the dog for getting up and moving out of frame during his 8-hour streams. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Cenk's nephew obviously implementing a shock dog collar on his dog. I'd say it's about 99% certainty that that's exactly what happened. And of course, the ensuing cover-up, and of course, how this reflects upon Cenk's nephew as a person, because it shows us he's an absolute scumbag. But before we get into that, I want to thank you guys for removing the shock collar off of me over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join. Now, of course, after Cenk's nephew ended up doing this, the clip was immediately spread around the internet.com. It immediately went viral, and Cenk's nephew had to go into damage control mode. So later on in the stream, Cenk's nephew decided it would be a good idea to pretend he was hearing about this controversy for the first time ever, pin it on LSF, Destiny, and Ethan Klein. And of course, this is one of the most ridiculous, absurd, fraudulent reactions humanly possible, and we are going to go over this because within 60 seconds, Cenk's nephew wants you to believe that for the first time ever in his entire life, he's hearing about this shock collar allegations, or allegations as the super mayor would call it. And then suddenly, even though he just heard about this, even though he reacted to his dog by scolding it after it yelped rather than checking on it, Cenk's nephew has a pre-prepared explanation for what went down with his particular dog when he reached off camera and apparently delivered a shock to it due to the fact that the dog dareth step out of line.
To hear oral arguments on Thursday.
Oh my
we should
God.
note that new CBS.
Is there like a LSF video or something? Is that why there's like hella people coming in here and screeching? Is that what's going on? Oh, classic. It started on D, then H3, then LSF is the classic pipeline. I'm gonna die, dude.
So right there is the opening 30 seconds of the clip that I wanted to show you, and as you can see, Cenk's nephew is pretending like he has no idea what's going on. He's like, is there an LSF clip going around? And of course, this refers to live stream fails, which by the way, I want you guys to know that the Reddit moderators are actually deleting this from live stream fails so that people can't actually see what Cenk's nephew did to his dog Kaya. But then he's like, oh, a chatter just told me, this is how he's trying to react, that it went from Destiny, that's what D means, to E, which is Ethan Klein, aka H3 Productions, to live stream fails. And he's like, classic pipeline, you know, like the alt-right pipeline, except for it's catching me on my piss poor behavior. So again, first 30 seconds, Cenk's nephew just reacting. He's just discovering that there's a controversy over his dog incidentally getting hurt that had nothing to do with him at all whatsoever. And he just wants you to know that he's just shocked and he's gonna die because he's so embarrassed by the fact that this has become a story, but in reality, he's reacting to it for the first time ever. Trust me, guys, he's reacting to this for the first time in his entire life right now at this very moment.
Yes, I am incredibly abusive to the not only best trained, but also the best behaving and most spoiled dog on the planet. Is from when Kaya yelped. Yeah, she yelped because she clipped herself on something when she was getting off the bed.
So let's be clear about this. Cenk's nephew goes from, I have no idea what's going on, oh, the chat is just informing me on this situation that's going viral based on all these hater logs, all these hater chats, but I had no idea about it. I knew nothing of this controversy that was unraveling. And then within the same 60 seconds, he has a canned explanation about how Kaya just clipped herself getting off the bed. Now, to be clear for everybody out there in the audience, this is 100% false. It is not true at all whatsoever. In fact, when Cenk's nephew allegedly shocked this dog, again, 99% certainty, the dog was already getting back on the bed. And the idea that the dog was incidentally hurt, not related to any kind of shock collar deployed as a training mechanism by Cenk's nephew, is absurd in every possible way, because how many people out here actually own a dog? And when a dog gets hurt accidentally in a surprising manner, how many dogs immediately, and I mean immediately, comply with the command that was given by their master to sit in their special place? Because that's exactly how the dog reacted to incidentally getting hurt randomly, unrelated to what Cenk's nephew was saying, immediately going into submission mode on the particular spot where she is in frame so Cenk's nephew can conduct the stream. So this is absolute nonsense. Let's be clear about this. This is a totally inorganic response. And by the way, this could have been just my speculation. In fact, when I saw this clip go viral, this was my immediate assumption, but it turns out it's not even speculation, because guess what? Cenk's nephew actually read in the chat an hour prior to this about the controversy related to his dog, and he's pretending right here like he's reacting to it for the first time.
Because I gave her the place command while she was getting off, and then she yelped. These shadows don't know she broke the other beds? Yeah. She'd broken the previous bed. Bro, that dog is being abused. 4-hour streams every day of Hassan. I can't imagine. Yeah. I suspect it's coming from, you know, some crazy haters. They said you shocked her with a button. Yeah. In my evil villain lair. Good thing I didn't hit the trapdoor button instead on accident. She reviewed food online. She yelped. No, she went when she was getting off the bed. Because I assume she like either stepped funny or clipped her foot on something. I don't know. Yeah, it came from the H3 sub. They didn't even hide it.
And in fact, in that clip where Cenk's nephew was actually reading about the controversy about the shock collar on his dog an hour prior to this, an hour prior to him pretending to hear about it for the first time, he weirdly left the stream, called his dog off camera before returning to the stream and having the dog return to its place.
President Ronald Reagan speaks about the air traffic controller strike. He states very clearly that if the striking union do not report to work in 48 hours, they'll be fired from their jobs. The president then takes questions along with Attorney General William French Smith and the Secretary of Transportation, Andrew Lewis Jr.
This morning at 7 a.m., the union representing those who man America's air traffic control facilities called a strike. This was the culmination of 7 months of negotiations between the Federal Aviation Administration and the union. At one point in these negotiations, agreement was reached and signed by both sides, granting a $40 million increase in salaries and benefits. This is twice what other government employees can expect. It was granted in recognition of the difficulties inherent in the work these people perform. Now, however, it will be terminated.
No.
And for me, this is what puts it completely over the top for me that Cenk's nephew is obviously deploying a shock collar in order to keep his dog as a prop in his background, perfectly framed on camera for his live streams. Because if you, for the first time ever, were hearing about the accusations that you were using a shock collar on your dog, and you would never do something like that, and you intended to deny it, why would you call your dog off camera, then return to your stream, then an hour later pretend to react as if it's new information to the same information that you saw an hour ago? Wouldn't you just bring your dog up forward to the camera, show us the dog's collar, if there even was a collar? Obviously, he's not going to do that, and the reason he's not going to do that is because many people have pointed out when they've been able to see the collar, it actually looks very close to a brand of shock collars for a specific dog. Again, there are still images all over the internet.com, but Cenk's nephew did not want to disprove this. He did not want to debunk it. Instead, he wanted to pretend like he discovered this an hour after he actually saw the controversy, because it took him that long to think up and imagine some kind of an explanation for why his dog seemingly got shot, and then immediately complied with the command that he was giving to said dog. Now, of course, people have dug up clips of Cenk's nephew on stream with one of his simp girls.
And now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Well, it's here we can.
It's you have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get one. I think you're choking her.
She's like, it's because she has a lot of neck meat.
Where she's talking about the collar being way too tight, and of course, Cenk's nephew appears like he's going to say it's a shock collar, but then he stops himself, and then he says, oh, it's not too tight because the dog has a lot of neck meat. Now, there's also another additional clip of Cenk's nephew saying that he does, in fact, own a shock collar, and they're incredibly effective, and he doesn't have the heart to use it, but his friend convinced him to buy one so he could not use it, but he also knows that they're really effective on the use of your dog, although again he wasn't going to do that.
My old roommate wanted to use a shock collar for fish and his dogs, barking. I couldn't do it. I have it still. I bought it. They are incredibly effective.
I mean, guys, seriously, come on. Are you actually buying that this was just a random dog on camera in HD, not actually hitting any kind of obstruction of any kind within our eyesight, coincidentally yelping in that way and immediately complying with Cenk's nephew's command as soon as he was angry with the dog and reached off camera in order to get the remote, presumably to shock the dog? Obviously, this is absurd. And again, if this were true, if Cenk's nephew's explanation did make sense, why did Cenk's nephew react in the moment like the dog was doing something wrong by yelping? Why was he so upset that the dog made that noise on camera? And why didn't he check on his dog that supposedly he loves and spoils more than any other dog when the dog got injured through a mechanism that he did not understand in that moment? Doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. And then again, when he actually did discover the controversy, why did he not just show the dog's collar, react to it in the moment on the spot? Why did he call the dog off camera specifically in that moment, return the dog there, wait an hour, and then pretend to react to the controversy like it was brand new. I mean, come on, guys. This is the most obvious thing humanly possible, and this is to be expected. Twitch streamers do not give a crap about other people. They do not give a crap about animals, and Cenk's nephew is the perfect example of that. He sees the dog, like every other part of his set, as a prop, meant to stay in its place, meant to know its place. Hey guys, editing Sean here, and it appears that Cenk's nephew on the next stream has showed us what allegedly was the collar that the dog was coincidentally wearing yesterday, which he claims is just a regular, ordinary, vibrating collar that does not deliver a shock at all whatsoever.
This is one of Kaya's many collars. Come here, sit. Good girl. This is the one that people are talking about. Okay, this is the one. This is the one that they saw. It has the capacity to vibrate, and that's it. Are you happy? That's it. Good. There's the AirTag. There's the vibrator. It also has a flashlight component to it at nighttime, and it also has a tracker on it when she gets lost. If she were to actually get lost, you are able to, it emits a sound. Okay?
Now, while this and the shock collar do look nearly identical and exactly as what Kaya was wearing at the time of the electroshock, I just want you guys to all understand I am 100% not buying it. He could have easily taken the collar off the dog the day before when he first heard about the controversy, showed it to the people that were complaining about it, but instead of doing that, let me remind you what he actually did. He walked off camera, pretended that he wasn't reading it off the chat when he 100% was, called the dog over to him off camera, then came back and did the stream, then an hour later pretended to react to the controversy for the first time. Then this new dog collar that he easily could have ordered from Amazon and gotten delivered before this stream is what he presents to his audience as what the dog was wearing the previous night. No way. Absolutely not. Do not believe it. Don't buy it at all whatsoever. Again, 24 hours to show us, even though the dog was on stream from the Yelp to the point when he figured out this was a controversy and he decided to lure the dog off camera in that particular instance. How about you show us what the collar looks like that you admit that you own that is a shock collar? How about we see the difference right there? And again, there's no explanation at all provided by Cenk's nephew of why, if he's so innocent, he acted incredibly guilty in that moment. But of course, I leave this up to you guys out there in the audience. I want to know what you guys think about Doggate, or as it's being called, K911, or Dogtober 7th, which by the way came from Destiny as far as I could tell originally, and it's actually pretty good stuff, even though Destiny obviously is a very questionable individual. But yeah, this is Cenk's nephew. This is who he is. This is the absolute monster of who he is, and every time we get a peek at the Twitch streamers, at Cenk's nephew in particular as well, we see this time and time again. They think nothing of their fans. They think nothing of your intelligence. All they think about is getting themselves ahead, period, point blank, and they don't care who or what kind of animals they have to hurt in order to maintain that popularity. But again, I want to know what you guys think. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Cenk's nephew torturing his dog for Twitch viewers. Till next time.